similar sentiments being shared here in KwaZulu-Natal. Small groups of people coming through to be at this memorial. The church wasn't as full to capacity, some of the members would have liked, but at short notice we see Pietermaritzburg residents that came here. One woman who joins me now was very emotional during the ceremony. Ma'am, thank you for speaking to us. Tell us, what is your name, ma'am, and why did you come here today? I know you've traveled quite a long distance. Why did you
Not
want
very
to be
far
here?
at all. I'm from Maritzburg. It's Jenny Kirchhoff. And
You were very emotional during the ceremony. What made you emotional? Tell me.
well, I was just thinking of Bishop Tutu. 50 years ago, he arranged a pilgrimage of hope for 144 young people in South Africa to travel to Israel and then to Thésée in France. And I was one of them, and that was 50 years ago.
What was that experience like to be with him?
It was amazing. He actually wasn't allowed to come. His passport was taken away from him. But his idea was that young people of all races should be able to talk together, which we were able to do on common ground outside of South Africa. And then when we came back, I remember I was with a friend and we entered the airport and she had to go to the non-white toilets and I had to go to the white ones. But then we went to a wimpy and we just sat in it together anyway.
Now, going forward, what values do you take from the Arch that you'd like your fellow South Africans to actually remember and abide by? You were on that trip to Israel where unity was spoken about.
Yes. I suppose, I think it was Bishop Reuben who said he was able to rise above anything, any sort of party politics. It was all about living faith in God, living love, being alive for God and helping other people, not being all centered on oneself or on what's best for an individual group. I think it's the unity of that and the reconciliation, which lots of people felt was not good, was not strong, was a weakness, but actually that reconciliation is God's only way.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, ma'am. So some messages here. Actually, next to me is the Bishop of Natal, Bishop Ndwandwe. Bishop, if we could perhaps have a few words for you. We are live on Newzroom Afrika now. You did speak briefly at the podium about the life and times of the Arch, the late Arch. Perhaps if you could share with our viewers what is your message going forward, so you can actually turn a bit this way for me. You can just look at me.
I think for me the message is to all South Africans. We have a great icon a person from whom to learn. He was a great man, very humble man. And in fact I was thinking as I was sitting there of the time in his old age retired, when there was a matter concerning his family, he had to write to the bishops to ask for permission to do something in his own home. And I thought that was great. That for me was Desmond at its best. The man whom we have loved, but the man who, tiny as he was, had a great stature. The words that would come from his mouth, you would think you were going to meet a giant, only to see this tiny man. So we are grateful to God and grateful to the family that was able to share such a man with humanity.
Bishop, is there any personal moment you had with him or something that inspired you personally by him through his life?
I think for me, I have never had a personal, but all I knew was that this is the man, even in his retirement, who prayed for us. I'll tell you, as a bishop of Umtata, I got a message from him saying, where is your prayer leaflet? Because I pray for the dioceses all the time. I had to actually create one, which we did not have at the time. But his words were an inspiration for me, because here was someone who's retired, but the love of his church was still in his heart. And all all of us were being prayed for by him all the time. And this is the kind of person he was.
Bishop, our province has been through a very trying time this year. As the spiritual leader of this province, what message do you think we can take from the life of the Arch to go forward into this next year as we lay the Arch to rest on New Year's Day?
I think as a province and as a country, we need to actually begin to address issues of poverty. Until we actually deal with issues of poverty and ensure that people actually have decent lives, not big salaries, but they are able to earn something in order to put food on the table. Without changing that, we will never be able to actually be at peace, because we seem to be having a number of people, the number of those who are not employed is growing all the time, and we need to take that seriously. I think what we saw was a message of something big to come. This was the beginning, a sequel to what is coming.
Thank you very much, Bishop, for speaking to us on Newzroom Afrika. The Bishop of Natal, Bishop Nkosinati Ndwandwe, just recounting as well, the moments that have passed, also speaking to the fact that going forward we need to see to equality for all, speaking about poverty as well as unemployment, that is leading to unequal lives for everyone. And you can see here Bishop Reuben Phillips was among these religious leaders that gave a discourse here at this church in Pietermaritzburg. You also see Professor Kumalo, a theologian, that was just speaking to how the late Arch actually navigated through religion and activism as well, always using his platform, the physical pulpit, as a stage to actually speak out on important matters and relevant situations in the country at the time, whatever time it may be. Some of the stories that we are hearing today, as well as the prayers that were written specifically to memorialize the late Arch at this time. And so this is the memorial service from the Anglican Church here in Pietermaritzburg, and we do expect some virtual memorials as well happening in the province over the course of the week until Saturday, when we hear that the late Arch is expected to be honored with a funeral ceremony, and then thereafter his remains interred in a cremation.